Hey everybody, it's your Survivor fella Gordon Holmes here with your exit press for Survivor 46, episode 90, 10th eliminated player. That's a lot of numbers. Talking to Hunter in just a minute, but before we get to him, a couple of quick orders of business. First of all, the comment section's open. Let us know what you feel about this episode, what you feel about this interview. Are idols cursed? I think they might be. As always, three rules: be nice to each other, be nice to the contestants, and be nice to me. Also, my episode recaps are available on Substack immediately following each episode. You can find out what I thought of the episode as well as find individual letter grades for each of the players. So if you want to follow me there as well, I'd appreciate it. Also, the Survivor Power Rankings are raging on, even though my team is getting smoked. It is not pretty, but we have a very special episode this Monday. It is the Limerick episode, a fan favorite. It's going to be Franny Marion squaring off against Drew, the real deal Basile, with limericks. And as always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Costs you nothing, and it helps us out a ton, gets us in front of more people. All right, with that being said, let's see what Hunter has to say about last night's blindside. Oh, Hunter. Oh, Hunter, I didn't come here to victim blame, but you kind of brought this on yourself when you're hanging on that pole and decided to go for the sexy backbend. That's on you, my friend.
Yeah, that was crazy. I did not realize that that was the deal breaker for me. Everyone's like, that is the most arrogant and show offy thing I've ever seen. And the reality was, I just love the challenges. And it's so fascinating to me, all the different ones. And in my head, I was like, I wonder if I could lock my legs and hang upside down. It wasn't like a watch what I could do. It was like, I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if I can do this. But then it came across as a, oh boy. But what's funny is, I do that after winning, and everyone's like, man, he is so arrogant. But Venus talks about how she's going to win this one before we've even started. Now she's confident, but that is like okay. But it, yeah, and then the hiding in the tree. The hiding in the tree was also a big one. They're like, how dare he? And what's funny is we were talking about playing hide and seek, and we were 2 feet from the tree that I decided to climb. I was like, I don't feel like going and hiding somewhere. And that tree, I was like, honestly, I could sit up there and listen to people talk if I ever wanted to at camp, but the problem would be getting back down would be hard. So I'm just gonna go up there and sit. And so I climbed up there, but apparently that was a big mistake too. So lots of big mistakes.
And look at your setup. You've even got puzzles in the background.
Yeah,
I
that was
imagine every square inch of your home is just Survivor puzzles, which same here, same here, same here. So,
maybe. That's
so
the marooning challenge one.
there you go. So last night, weighing the idol, I can't imagine like that must be so insanely stressful because like keeping it one more thing could be the difference between life and death. Talk me through the thought
Mhm.
process, why that idol stayed in your pocket, and are idols cursed? Because
Yeah.
Jem's got one too.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of paranoia that it increases because you can trust your social game 100% if you don't have an idol. Like you say, I got to lean into my social game. I've got to trust these people and I've got to go full fledged. And if it works, it works. If it fails, it doesn't. But what the whole thing building up to that is a little bit more convoluted than it came across. Because when I told people about the idol, I knew Venus was possibly not going to work with me. But I wanted to have some power going to the next thing. Everyone was saying, hey, you should have not told anybody about your idol. You should have just played it. But me pulling out an idol and blindsiding somebody just creates a huge threat on my back. And moving forward, I have to position myself. I've been trying to position myself with people throughout this game. I tried to work with Q, and he actively sought to destroy my game. I tried to work with Liz and Tevin. Liz actively is going against Tevin. And so there's multiple moments where I'm like, I've got to find people I can work with and establish that. And so when I told people about the idol, I was hoping to maybe build some rapport and develop some, camaraderie and maybe a group that can go forward because we were all on the bottom. Like Venus was on the bottom, Liz on the bottom, Q was on the bottom, and so I'm like, hey, let's like do this together. When we go into tribal, I was 100% playing it. I had talked to Kinsey before we went to tribal, and me and Kinsey had developed a lot of rapport. She came to me and told me after I'd kind of started scrambling, the Siga 3 are writing your name down, Hunter. They were actively talking about voting you out. And so there was a moment of like, okay, Kinsey, because of this relationship, it's now paying back. She's letting me know what's happening. But at the moment, I was playing my idol when I went in there. So when I go into the um, tribal council, my mind is thinking about what is actually about to happen. How are the numbers going to fall? And I knew they knew about my idol. I knew Venus knew that I had 3 people, me, Hugh, and Liz, who were going to vote together because we were going in, all 3 going to vote Ben. And she knew that plan leaving. So I knew there was going to be scrambling. I knew Charlie's clever enough to figure this out. And the answer to the puzzle in my head would have to be they would go 3 on me, 3 on Q, and then we would put our 3 on Ben because they knew about the idol, because they would have to split votes to make sure that it goes in their way and not in any way that I would want to. And so then I had to read and say, is this the actual call? I knew Kenzie was voting Q. You could just tell by the way we'd had interactions before and the way she was talking with me. I knew Venus was writing Q because Venus had lied to me plenty of times before, but this wasn't Venus lying. This was Venus telling the truth. The person who was the unsurety was Tiffany. And Tiffany was going at Q that tribal. You know, most of the time it's I'm going to talk to Jeff and answer questions back and forth like this, and then Q would talk back and forth. But eventually it became Q and Tiffany were just going at each other. They were just saying, "Hey, look, this is how you ruined my game. You blew it up. I'm sick of you." They started calling each other liars. Like there was a visceral, like real, not putting on response there. And so then in my head, I said, Hunter, if Tiffany is playing, like is actually planning to vote Q out, and you and even if Q votes you, if you and Liz vote Q, it's going to be 4-5, and then you're through with the idol. And so that's what was going through my head was like thinking about the numbers. I knew I was getting 3 votes. And when I'm asking the people, I'm trying to get reads of is this person telling me the truth? I knew Charlie was writing my name down because he did the exact same thing that he did whenever because at the last tribal, he looks at me and Tevin and says, "We'll just vote Venus." And then he looks at me this time and said, "We'll just vote Q." And so I'm like, okay, that's his he's not voting with me here. But the other 3, if the other 3 are voting with me, because with good reason, Q had blown up a lot of Tiffany's game, and so why wouldn't she want him out at this point? Like it showed a very watered down, mellowed version of how much Tiffany gave it to Q the night of Q trying to quit. And so that was my read. It was the wrong read, but if Tiffany votes a different way, it wasn't that I was surprised that the rest of the group voted the way they did. It was Tiffany was the one person that I needed to fall my way.
That was an awesome breakdown. Thank you so much for that. I was interested in Kenzie last night because did it set off any red flags that she was so willing to target her, it seemed like her closest ally, Tiffany?
Well, that's what was interesting. That's why eventually I became like, this isn't what's happening. You know, they had shit like it wasn't her that changed. She was actually trying to vote out Tiffany, which is crazy to see now because I was like, oh, that's a facade to try to lull me into being comfortable. And they're just going to turn it on me. It was weird about that, but that seems to be the theme of this season. It's like, hey, let's vote out the person who trusts us the most. Like that is, I was like, this is not the Survivor that I thought we would be playing, where everyone's to vote out the person they're closest with. But I had been developing a relationship with Kenzie because going into merge, I didn't trust Siga. Siga came in, they were very kumbaya, very much together, very cards close to the chest. Tim hadn't told Maria. It was very much lots of red flags on the Green tribe. And so I said, I don't want this whole like 2-2-2 group of 6. I want the Yanu 3 and I want the Nami 3, me, Tevin, and Liz, because Liz was very much locked in with us until we got rid of Soda, but that's another thing we can talk about. And so I spent a lot of time trying to develop a relationship with Kenzie. When we were at the Siga Beach, I spent a ton of time talking with her as like we found this flower field, wove this crown to put on her head as she was going to try. Well, that's why they had the flowers stuck in their hair because of the time that we'd spent out there. I spent time showing her different things around Nami camp, like a secret room I had where I hid my idols. And then I like I spent a lot of time trying to develop a relationship with Kenzie. And so I wasn't too surprised if she was going to use me as a number to get out Tiffany. And I wasn't shocked whenever she came and told me that Stiga was going to like I was writing my name down 3 times. And so that was the plan I was working with. And then I get back and all of a sudden now Q tells me that Tiffany's trying to vote me out right after the Tim vote because he got mad whenever Ben was or the girls were talking too much with Ben. He like now is frustrated at Tiffany, so he wants to vote her out. And then he goes and tells Tiffany that I'm the one saying that she should go, and I'm the one who told Maria she wanted her out, and I'm the one who told her about the idol. And so it really put a lot of cracks in that side. And so that was where the fallout with Kenzie came. Was by default now Kenzie didn't trust me because he had told Tiffany that I had done all this stuff against them.
I feel like you just blew by secret idol room. That was that we never got to learn about that.
I know.
Jeez, did you have like a whole underground compound like Lost out there?
It was, yeah, it was. I had my box buried out there. I had my Beware Advantage buried out there. I had a fake idol that I had made buried out there. I had my actual idol buried out there. It was all kinds of stuff that I had hidden out there.
Got nothing out there but time. All right, we do a word association here to get to know your tribe mates a little bit better. I'll give you someone's name. Give me the first Taylor Swift song that pops in your head. Sorry, that's for Charlie. Just give me the first couple words. Okay. First couple words that pop in your head. Let's start off with Randon.
Sporadic.
Okay. Q.
Sporadic, all over the place.
Okay.
Q, impulsive. Q is impulsive.
Liz.
unpragmatic. I'm going to say that unpragmatic.
Okay. Kenzie.
Kinsey, affable or like personable, either one of those.
Maria.
Maria, mm, I'm going to say like flip floppy.
Tim.
Tim, mellow,
Soda.
energetic.
Ben.
Oh, what's the best word? I'm gonna say like puppy in a good way.
You might be the first person that didn't lose like rock. Let's try
Well,
Charlie.
he really stopped the whole like rock thing a lot when we got to merge. Like he like after the Tim vote, there was not a whole lot of like rock anymore. Like it really died down. So I didn't experience it quite as much.
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
try Charlie.
Charlie, I'm gonna say the opposite of Liz probably and say pragmatic.
Okay. Mariah.
Um Scapegoat. I think she was the scapegoat of the Stika tribe. So I'm gonna say scapegoat.
Tevin.
Oh man. The best. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay. Tiffany.
Just the best. Competitive.
All right. And now let's finish off with Venus.
Venus, I guess mad, since this carried the theme from the boat conversation, just mad.
So I'm really good at Survivor on my couch, like super good at it. Honestly,
Yeah.
I know all the right
Uh-huh.
decisions to make. I know how to win all the challenges,
Uh-huh.
and I feel like
Yes.
it's like I could probably work with anybody at some point. But it just seemed like you and Venus were
Uh-huh.
never able to get on. There's one point where like I think she was approaching you, and it seemed like you weren't having it. Talk me. It seemed like you were really good about. A good example was Soda singing seemed to be annoying you. Instead of you being like
Mm-hmm.
Soda's got to go, you're like, how do I
Mm-hmm.
figure this out? So what was it about Venus that you guys just couldn't get on the same page?
Well, and this is uh, like something that I baffled me. This one-sided animosity she had towards me. I never said anything bad about Venus. Never in my confessionals. I was never like I can't work with Venus. What was obvious in that moment was she was coming to follow me, so I couldn't find an idol. Like it was abundantly clear. Like that was her motive there. It wasn't so she could come talk strategy. It was, and she said it when she was coming, and so I knew what she was doing. And it was very. We were all idol hunting, and I was like, I'm not gonna talk strategy right now when you obviously know what I'm doing. The thing about Venus was she didn't connect in any other way than saying, "Hey, we're going to do this in strategy. This is how we're going to work." Like I spent time building bonds with Tevin and with Liz and with Soda outside of the realm of strategy, because for a team that wins every single challenge, it's foolish to be like, "Hey, Venus, I think we should vote out Soda on day 4." When we haven't even gone to tribal. I didn't have to like it just seems so foolish to me because especially the way Venus played, it was obvious she wanted to play a very sneaky game. She admits it herself. We caught her in that. She would be gone all the time with Randon and they would be having conversations nonstop. And so I wasn't going to strategically just reveal what I wanted to do to Venus. But we would have conversations. She said, "What are you thinking?" And I would say, look, I haven't decided yet, and I'm fine working with you. What the edit doesn't show very well is I had to go to bat for Venus at Mergatory. Venus was actively trying to get herself out of the game. The way she was playing. Q wanted her gone. Tevin wanted her gone. Yanu was like tired of the way she was playing it, so they were ready to go with Sika and vote Venus out. But I had to go. Like I went to Venus and was like, Venus, like we don't have power over who's going. There's only 2 options, and if you don't like just relax, it's gonna be you. And then I have to go back to the group of Yanu, like, look, it needs to be Siga. They like each other too much. It needs to be Siga. And so the whole idea of me disliking her, other than like I voted for Venus because she was on the bottom whenever Tevin went home. I knew no one was working with Venus. Everyone looked at Venus and said, she is such a sporadic player. She will go from one person to another and try to like cut someone's throat for any drop of the hat reason. I knew if I wrote her name down, no one would be upset. And I had a good feeling that Tevin was the one going. I like knew that was happening. So I said, I've got to vote for somebody in the least damaging way. But she obviously like she would always talk about how she was going to beat me in challenges, and she would talk about how she made it longer than me on the balance beam or the triangle balance one, which she didn't, but she was convinced. She's like, whenever you watch it back, you're going to see. She would like tell me that, hey, we were going to win that Mergatory if that boulder wasn't there, Hunter. How'd that feel? We were going to beat you, and she like would come at me all the time with that, and it was fine. It was a lot like a older brother, little sister kind of like relationship there. But I did not realize the extent to which she had animosity towards me. The moment whenever she came over and leaned and was like, all right, Mr. Strategy, what's your plan? That was right after the editing kind of like switched it up. That was right after me, Kenzie, Tevin, and Maria talked about voting out Tiff. And so it was like, I've got this secret. I cannot like reveal what we're doing here. But again, she just considered it stonewalling and thought that it's because I didn't respect who she was as a person. And it wasn't that. It was just I knew that if I'm going to build allies with other people, I can't be someone who's spending a lot of time talking with Venus. And I think it became more of a personal thing in her eyes. And I should have done a better job of trying to not let it happen that way, but I didn't realize to what extent it was getting to that point.
All right, well, our time is up.
Oh man.
Us challenge beasts got to stick together, man. So know that I love seeing you out there. I got your back, and I know today's crazy busy, so I want to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.